everyone. Hopefully everybody can hear me. This is my first time doing one of these without having my microphone plugged in, mainly because I cannot find my microphone stuff right now. So hopefully everything that you're hearing from me is coming clear on the laptop. So anyway, I've been wanting to come on here to do my kind of love letter to Press to Play, which turns 40 on the 25th. Well, at least here in America, it was released on the 25th, whereas it was released on the 22nd in England, which was yesterday. So I just wanted to come on here and do a little thing about my thing. But first, I'm going to do something very, very special, something that has never, ever been done before, because this is so great that I could tap into what I call my eidetic memory. And so I could give you guys a retroactive, a first ever retroactive of Beatlefest 1996 finds. I'm gonna get myself into my 1996-year-old self. Okay, there she is. Hey everybody! So I am back from attending the Beatlefest 1996. Let's pretend that this is July 96. And so I had like a really great time at the Beatlefest. It was really cool. Um, I got to meet Denny Lane of the Mini Blues. He was a very amazing and cool guy. And then my dad got a chance to speak with Billy Preston, which was really awesome. And so I went up to LA to attend the Beatlefest. It was happening at the LAX Marriott's. A really cool place. I loved it. I had so much fun. And the entertainment was great. Everything was amazing. Everybody's talking about how great the Beatles anthology series was, and we're getting ready for anthology 3 to come out on CD. I can't wait to see what new stuff it's going to be on that disc. Because anthology 2, which came out earlier this year, was amazing. I love that. That means a lot was on it, and the really cool new stereo mix of My Name, Look Up the Numbers was a fantastic. So now I'm looking forward to Anthology 3, which comes out in November. Can't wait. But while I was there, my dad did give me an allowance. And so I'm going to show you some of the cool things that he gave me. And so the first thing is I really, really love these. This is like a really amazing release. It is the Beatles Backtrack Volume Part 2. This is really great. It has different takes of There's a Place, Misery, She's a Woman, I Feel Fine. Pierbeck Ryder is on this. You have the first take of Hello Goodbye when it's called Hello Hello. And a really cool track at the end called I Hate to See the Evening Sun Go Down. But there are the tracks right there. Really amazing release. This is a great one. So happy to get this. I'm going to be playing this a lot. I have my CD Walkman with me, so I was able to listen to this while I was in our hotel room at night. And another thing is I've been wanting this because my dad had this and I wanted it. And it doesn't look like the same like the one that my dad had, but it's cool nonetheless. It's the Beatles Get Back. This is really amazing. I love this. When my dad had it, I listened to it a lot. I like this version than Let It Be. It's the way better version of the Beatles Let It Be album. But this is great. It's called Get Back. It has my favorite track on it, Teddy Boy. I love their version of Teddy Boy. Amazing. I don't think I could ever listen to the McCartney version of Teddy Boy ever again. This version is for me. I love it. And so I got this. And we were there. My dad was helping out a friend of his named Ed Schreiber, and so right next to us was a really nice gentleman. I forgot where he was from, but he was selling some cassette tapes, and so I did find one that I loved, which was Off the Ground. This is the cassette single of Off the Ground, and it comes with the full-length version of Cosmically Conscious. Really, really great. This is how the back looks. Awesome. yeah, so I had to wait till I got home because I didn't have like a cassette tape player when I was out in LA. So I can't wait to listen to this. So now we're bringing it back to 2026. Okay, now here's the whole story of press to play for me. And that is, so as I said, we were like next door to some guy um, um, that was also a vendor. He was selling some cassettes. And I remember, oh, my press to play shirt. See? I was over there and I said to myself, you know what? I've worn out my Flowers in the Dirt cassette tape. I listened to it way too much that now it doesn't really play anymore. So I need to buy a new one. So I got this. The nice gentleman sold it to me for about $5. It's great. I love this album so much. My Brave Face, my favorite song in the world. I love it. I cannot live without this album. But the cool thing is, he said, like, hey, if you love Flowers in the Dirt a lot, then you might like this next album. And so he gave me this cassette tape for free. And it is Press to Play. And so I said, great, yeah. Um, so I um, I never listened to it before, but I've always been leery about when it comes to listening to albums of solo Beatles I never really heard before. I've always had that kind of fear, like it, I'm not gonna like it because I never heard it before. I always was like that. And like when it came to the Back to the Egg album, London Town, Tug of War, Pipes of Peace. Never heard those albums before. The only albums I've really heard up to this point were really McCartney, Ram, um, Band on the Run, Venus and Mars, and Wings Greatest. And never really, I probably heard Give My Regards to Broad Street because I did have the cassette tape. But I never really heard much of the other stuff. Same with like some of the John Lennon albums. It's like it wouldn't be for years till I listened to Mind Games or Walls and Bridges or even on the George Harrison stuff. It's like I never really heard, you know, um, Living in a Material World, Dark Horse, all those albums. I don't even think I've heard All Things Must Pass until years later. But I was saying to myself, well, you know what? He says like if I like Flowers and Dirt, I'll love this album as well. And plus, I love 80s. I love 80s albums. I just love, because I grew up listening to 80s music. So I listened to Tears for Fears, Duran Duran, Level 42, Talk Talk, ABC, stuff like that. And so, Missing Persons, I love Missing Persons and Power Station. And so I was like, so I took this home, I put it into my cassette tape. It was already nicely rewound, so I could start from the beginning. And I love this album so much when I first heard it. I was like blown away. It's like, the first track, Stranglehold, a very strong album opener. I just loved it. It was very acoustic. There's horns in it. It's so amazing. Then we get to Good Times Coming, Feel the Sun. And I was like, this is funky. I love it. This is like a very funky song. It's very 80s. I love 80s. By the way, I really love the 80s. So I love that sound. And Talk More Talk, it was like, okay, this is very interesting. This kind of reminds me of kind of like what he'll do later on with Oula Le Soleil from Darren's Dirt, which I love. Oula Le Soleil. Great, great song. Great production. And then we get into Footprints, and I loved it. It's very, very Spanish, it really speaks to me in a very deep level. It's a great one. Only Love Remains, a killer ballad. Paul was known for his killer ballads. I think this is like probably like might have been like the start of him doing like a killer ballad at the end of every album, where this this album has as Only Love Remains, and then the next album he had Motor of Love, which I love, on Flowers and Dirt, and then on Off the Ground, Come On People, that very beautiful song, and then Beautiful Night on Flaming Pie. He loves doing those ballads. His ballads are amazing. And then we go into the next side two, and that is Press. And I was like, oh yeah, I could party to this one. I love Press. Um, and then we get into like the most experimental track on it, Pretty Little Head, which I have to say it took me years to really like it. Truthfully, I didn't really like it until I heard the single version. And I heard the single version on a kind of like a bootleg tape that had a lot of his music videos, uh, and seeing the music video, and it had like a very young Gabrielle Anwar before she did Son of a Woman and before she did Burnout Notice. Great show, great actress. Loved her in the music video. Loved the music video. Then we get into Move Over Busker, which I think people tend to trash on, but I loved it. I enjoyed the song. Angry is very, very dynamic. Great trio right there. McCartney, Pete Townsend, Phil Collins. Great. Great section right there. And then, However Absurd really took me years to get into. Um, but yeah, I just love this album. I probably listened to this cassette tape a lot when I first got it, and then I was able to go to my local record store, and then I bought the CD. This is not the actual CD that I bought. This is something I found online. But hey, it's the long box. Remember these people? The long box, amazing. And then it came with three great bonus tracks. We had the song "Right Away," which is the B side to "Pretty Little Head," if I'm correct. Yeah, and then we get an alternate version of "It's Not True," which I like this version versus the version that we got on the B side of Press. Um, I think this one had like more dynamics, more drums. It's very big and bombastic. I love it. And then we get this beautiful track that was the B side of "Only Love Remains," "Tough on a Tightrope," and amazing. And then years later, let me see if it's. Oh yeah, it's right here. Um, Years later, I think I was still in high school. I got what is known as the 1993 remasters, and then this one comes with like two bonus tracks, which is "Spies Like Us" and the long version of "Once Upon a Long Ago." Um, so it's so great, and as years went on, I was able to read more about this, and it was actually the first album that Paul recorded at his brand new studio at Hog Hill Mill. I guess he liked the idea of how he finally gained his own studio so he could work more hours on his music and stuff, um, and so he was able to really go in there and you know do some things that he wants to do, and like and everything that he learned from doing this album, he was able to take and to make this album, um, and every other album since, Off the Ground, Flaming Pie, Driving Rain, and stuff like that. But yeah, I totally adore this album, and what I think I loved most about the album is I went in listening to Press to Play with an open mind, and thank God, there really thank God there's no internet back then, or these silly YouTube channels that would like to do videos where they bash videos because of some stupid review that came out in '86 said it. So they're like, okay, I'm gonna jump on the bandwagon and say like this album is shit as well. Um, Thank God I went in with none of that noise happening. I went in with an open mind. I never listened to this album before. Put my headphones on. These are not the same headphones. Those headphones have broke years ago, like in '97. Uh, um, but yeah, just put the headphones on, listen to the music, close my eyes a bit, and then just really digest the album, and just really totally fell in love with it organically. And so anybody that's gonna watch this video years from now, or probably recently, that never heard of Press to Play, give this album a listen to. Give If you never listened to this album, set yourself aside, and give it a listen. Put headphones on, lay down, um, just listen to it. You'll like it. It's a great album. If you really love a lot of the 80s productions that we're starting to see people bring back now, artists like Sabrina Carpenter, Selena Gomez, and Olivia Rodrigo, and a lot of other people, the Bleachers, the Jack Antonoff stuff, then this is an album that you're truly going to love, young people. Can't believe I just said that. That I'm not. I'm not going to go there. I'm so not going to go there. But anywho, give this album a listen to. It's great. You'll love it. I think it's like the most open minded album that Paul McCartney's ever made. Um, it's not as experimental as McCartney 2, but it is as great as Flowers in the Dirt and stuff that he'll do later on. I believe this album starts a trend going from this album going in straight into Off the Ground. I feel like those three could easily just be like, parts 1, 2, and 3 in a way. But anywho, that is my love for Press to Play. Love this album a lot. It's in my top 5. I forgot where I placed it. I probably placed it on number 3 or 4. I'm not really sure where I placed it yet. But I love it. I really love it. I hope that Paul does something to celebrate its 40th anniversary. I know that everything's about the 50th anniversary of something, and we don't really need more praise for At the Speed of Sound. We don't need any more praise for Revolver. It's this album's time now. It's time for Press to Play to get its celebration, and it needs to be celebrated. And it's an album that is worthy of celebration. Um, and and for people that didn't like it before back then, to give it a new reevaluation as well. You know, but yeah, so that's my video for this. Um, Hope you liked it, and um, Press a Play a listen. Now how do I turn this off? There it goes.